Hey there, everybody. PTPOP here, leading you out of the rabbit hole, one grain of truth at a time. And I woke up today feeling really amazing because I love living in these times of technology. I really do. And I want to talk about it because I think AI is amazing. It has saved me. It has helped me so much. But let me start off by saying about almost 30 years ago, I stepped into a recording studio to record my first CD. And it was done on ADAT tape. And that wasn't the neat part. It was kind of neat because the producer I was working with wasn't using Pro Tools yet. But the fascinating part was the guy had a graphic designer that worked on his staff named Chuck Wilkie. Great guy, just an amazing guy, and unfortunately passed away a few years ago. But this guy designed my first cover for my first CD using something called Photoshop. And I had never heard of Photoshop. And this is probably 1999. And I remember sitting in his studio, and he and I tossing around ideas of what could be in my first CD cover, and he just took one of my photographs of me holding a guitar. He tossed in the computer. He cut my image out from the background. He put a new background in. He put graphics in. He did it all. He tossed it off in a couple of minutes. I just remember watching this happen, and I was just freaking amazed, completely amazed by this Photoshop software. And because, when I studied graphic design in college in the 80s, there were no computers. The Mac had just come out. We had a Mac lab on campus, these little tiny square computer screens, and you put a little floppy disk in it and stuff like that to save your Word. I think it was called Word Perfect at the time. And, everything in graphic design was done with rapidograph pens and paint. You had to draw out your letters by hand. You had to cut everything out with X-Acto knives. It was very manual process. Even in the 80s, it was still manual. And so when I watched Chuck make my CD cover, I was just blown away with the software, just completely blown away by it. And I thought, wow, I gotta get involved in this Photoshop stuff. So that was probably the CS1 version or something, or CS0. I don't know which version it was. This is 1999. And so it wasn't 30 years ago. It was 20. What was that? Is that 25 years ago? 26 years ago. 26 years ago. So fast forward to 2006 to 2008, I went back to college. I went to school out at Chandler Gilbert Community College in Gilbert, Arizona. And I took classes on Photoshop. I couldn't wait to take classes on Photoshop. When I finally got to learn how to use the software, it was so intuitive to me. It made so much sense. But the thing I loved is that I went from having to use rapidograph pens and acrylic paints and X-Acto knives, cutting up paper and painting and having to hand draw letters and stuff to have it almost be instantaneous. It was amazing. It was almost instantaneous. You just go into Photoshop. And this class I took, it covered Photoshop, Illustrator, InDesign. It covered the whole creative. It was CS2, Creative Suite 2. And this is in the mid, I guess 2006 to 8, somewhere around there. Because while I was working, I was taking classes at night. And this was just fascinating, my friends. I mean, I couldn't believe how easy it was and how instantaneously you could create things and how much it streamlined the graphic design process. And then I took a digital photography class, and up to that point, I had a point and shoot. I had a cheap, I think it was a Canon point and shoot with a fixed lens, but it shot 35 millimeter film. But you had to pop the film on. I didn't know how to develop film in a dark room, so I would just pop the film out. You would mail it away, or you'd drive down to Photomat, or go over to the drugstore and give it to the clerk behind the counter, and they would process the film or send it off to be processed. And you couldn't see your pictures for in the old days it was like a week or two. Then they got it down to 24 hours film processing. Like, but with this Photoshop, man, you could just take your pictures. You could see what you'd taken on the back screen. You knew if you were in focus. You knew if your exposure was right. And you knew you had the shot before you even got the camera home. And there was no waiting. It was absolutely instantaneous, and I loved it. The digital world appeals to my ADHD. I have everything I want immediately. Boom, 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 boom. Give me this, give me this, give me this. I got it, I got it, I got it. And so I love digital photography. There's a lot of old timers that grew up with analog pictures, analog cameras, who hate digital cameras, and they will not use digital cameras. And I understand it, because I'm even though I'm not a purist, I do see the difference between film and digital. It's totally different. Digital is very cold and antiseptic. It doesn't have the warmth of film. Even black and white photo doesn't have the same atmosphere as a film camera does. But that being said, I personally don't have the patience to sit down and wait for the film to be developed. Though I have thought of taking a couple classes in film, they still teach it. But then comes along AI. Okay, and I have this YouTube channel here that some of you watch, and my YouTube channel has grown exponentially over the last 5 years. I did not focus on this. I've had this channel since I think 2006. So I've had the channel for like over 20 years or something like that. But for the first like 15 years, I did nothing with it. I put up a video once a year. I'd make a music video and toss it up there, or do something stupid and put it up there. But then I started to realize, hey, I've got this iPhone, and hey, I've got all this stuff, and I'm watching these other people, make money on it. And I discovered you can make money on it. I was like, well, you can make money on YouTube? I had no idea you could make money on YouTube. So, all I've done to make the channel successful is put a lot of hard work into it and research how to get the videos promoted, how to get the correct keywords and hashtags, right titles and thumbnails. And that was all, blood, sweat, and tears. But now with AI, I can't even begin to tell you how much it's helped me streamline my process of making videos. Because I had been tossing around the idea of finding somebody, a local college graduate, who might want to work for me to edit my videos, or come up with ideas for me, help me write scripts, or help me write titles, or come up with thumbnails, or go on to Fiverr.com and hire somebody there for $5 an hour, or whatever it is. And I've worked with those people before, and they don't always do the best work, and it's a crapshoot if you get quality work, or if you get somebody in the United States. And I was thinking, I don't really have the budget for it. I don't really have I can't pay anybody more than like $30, and I really don't have budget for it. So along comes ChatGPT. ChatGPT has saved my ass. It does everything for me. It is a digital assistant. It's a script writer, it's an editor, it's a thumbnail generator, it's a title writer. It does all these things for me, and for like $30 a month I pay for it. I don't know if I'm paying that cheap. I don't know, it's 30 to 60 or something like that. What I would probably want, some kid would want me to pay him probably $1,000 a month to sit down and do all this stuff with me. And I don't have to worry about them being drunk. I don't have to worry about them being late. I don't have to worry about AI being snotty, or filing a sexual harassment suit, or any of those things. I've just got this. I go into my computer, I pull up ChatGPT, I'm like, hey, come up with some ideas for a video on this topic. And within seconds, I love that feeling on my phone too when you type it in. Hey, ChatGPT, give me several video ideas about handicap parking, and how that came about. And that feeling of your phone, it kind of vibrates as it comes up with the answer. And it's just so fascinating. I think we live in amazing times, and I know there's people out there that hate AI, and there's people out there that hate the fact that it's taking their jobs. Well, I'm not working anyway. All the jobs that I wanted, none of you will hire me to do. You know what I mean? So I'm doing all the things that you won't hire me for on my own, and I'm getting better and better and better at it because of artificial intelligence and because of ChatGPT and Sora AI and NVIDIA AI. I can't begin to tell you how many packages. I don't pay for all of them, but I'm paying for the ones that help me the greatest. Some people say, oh, use Canva, use Canva. I don't like Canva. I just can't stand Canva. But, you know, ChatGPT has cut my processing time to making a video in half. Literally in half. It is my assistant. It writes descriptions for my videos. It writes the tags. It writes the keywords. It comes up with thumbnails. It comes up with all of this stuff. And AI in Photoshop now. Photoshop now is, what is that? Photoshop is now, what is it? I don't even know what they call it now. It's not CS, is it anymore? It's the Creative Suite. But in Photoshop, they've got new AI things in Photoshop that just absolutely are just amazing. How quickly you can isolate the subject in the photograph and cut it out from the background. How quickly you can change the background. With my most recent painting that I just completed, Angel's Flight, I was considering changing the subject in the painting. I was thinking of changing the color of her dress from maroon to green. And Jean Marie Spicuzza is the model in the picture. She's a wonderful artist and an amazing talented director and writer and filmmaker. And in the picture, she's wearing a maroon, like, I think it's like a velvet dress from like the 1940s. And I thought, well, you know, I wanted to have a red, blue, green color scheme. Maybe I need to change her dress. So I went into Photoshop. I uploaded a picture. I isolated the dress with a mask. And I said, change it to green. And it just completely, within a second, it changed her whole dress to green. And I didn't like the way it looked, and I didn't change the color scheme. It ended up looking good the way it was. But you can change. I've gone in. I found a picture of people here at the local Cleveland Rapid Transit Association. It's a train that drives people around the city. People use it to go to work and go downtown or go to ball games and stuff. And I found a picture of this train pulling to the station with all these people waiting to get on the train. And I went into Photoshop. I uploaded the picture into Photoshop, and I said, hey, get rid of these people. It removed those people, replaced it with a perfect background. Just put concrete and stuff from the train station, what you call the walkway in the train station. And then I said, okay, add a guy in the foreground wearing a long wool trench coat with a fedora reading a newspaper. Oh my God. It pulled this guy out of the ether and put him perfectly with his fedora, with his head tilted. He's reading the newspaper, and that's going to be my next painting. And I don't have the budget to hire a bunch of models and call up a guy from Model Mayhem and say, hey, would you want to pose for me to be in this painting? These people aren't cheap. The women that I've taken pictures of, they want something crazy like $150 an hour. You can get a hooker for that. And these women aren't hookers. They're models, or they profess to be models. Some of them aren't very talented. I pay good money for it. But there's no budget for that. I do work with a wonderful model here in Cleveland named Jilly James, and she's posed for me for a couple of different paintings. And I'm going to work with her again. And if you're in the Cleveland area and you want a phenomenal model to work with, I'd work with Jilly James. She's on Model Mayhem. I think she's on Instagram. And Jilly, if you're watching, I've been meaning to contact you about working again, but I just haven't gotten around to it. I've been like swamped with all these other projects I'm working on. But Jilly is one of a kind. She's talented, she's friendly, she's on time, she's early, she's professional, she's everything you'd want in a model. And she's got all kinds of clothing and outfits that she can wear for you, for your photo shoots or your video shoots. But the AI is being held up as this monster that's taking away our jobs. I'll tell you what, I have applied to so many jobs over the last 2 years in video and film production, and nobody will hire me. That's fine, because you've given me an opportunity to better myself and make myself a better video editor. I've learned it all on my own, which doesn't count in this world. I've learned it all on my own because of the internet, because of AI, because of my desire, my intuition, and my drive. You know, my stick-to-itiveness has gotten me through all this, and I'm getting better and better and better at what I do. And people like WEWS Channel 5 in Cleveland couldn't see it. And all these places I've applied to couldn't see it. Well, screw you. Let them take your jobs. Pretty soon, well, I'm not going to go off on a tangent, but the local news stations here in Cleveland. But why a small city like Cleveland needs 3 major news stations? It's ABC, CBS, and NBC. I have no idea. Nobody watches you guys anymore. The ratings have got to be just like, I don't know why you bother standing in front of the camera. You may as well just have a YouTube channel and talk to the wall. But AI is the bomb for me. Let it take all your jobs. You're not going to hire me anyway. I'm not going to lose a job. I'm improving. My viewers are going up. My videos are getting more views. I'm getting more exposure. I'm creating better movies. I'm working on a documentary right now where I needed a scene where I'm looking at Edward Hopper's artwork. Edward Hopper is a painter, an American painter. But I can't use his work, I can't use his pictures in the video if I want to distribute this nationally through like Film Hub. In this little documentary I'm making, I said, okay, I went in video AI, I paid an extra $30 from on top of what I'm already paying. I said, create a video 10 seconds long of a guy looking at books about Edward Hopper. And it created this amazing illustration. It was just a little video with even really brilliant edits in it of a guy opening a book. It says Edward Hopper in the book. It shows some pictures that he's looking at that aren't Hopper's work, but it's even filmed in a muted color scheme, just like Edward Hopper would make. And I can put that in my video. What I would have had to done is I would have had to go down to the Cleveland Library, find books in Edward Hopper, do an autofocus shot of me looking at Hopper's work from a distance on the book, or pull Hopper's work up on a computer screen. It would have been a whole. This took minutes, maybe 15 minutes, instead of me taking hours to shoot. Go down to the Cleveland Public Library, pull out a book on Edward Hopper if they had one in stock, so on and so forth. Or I could do it with over the shoulder shot of me looking at Hopper's work on the camera, but I would have to keep the computer screen out of focus because there's all kinds of licensing and copyright issues with other people's work, and you can't show it. So I'm tired of hearing, I'm not tired of, you can complain all you want. You can complain all you want about AI, but I think it's fascinating. It's just an absolutely amazing device and tool to add to the tools that I already have. I mean, everything I do today used to take a room full of hardware, especially recording video and recording music. I mean, when I went into the studio 25 years ago, this guy had rack mount EQ and processors and compressors and microphone amps and a whole room full of it. He had a whole control room filled with a whole big analog board and a glass window looking out into the thing with microphones. I create some of my productions, or nothing against you, Bob, but I can do what I need to do sitting on a chair in my office with just a computer, and that's it. All the amplifiers and the compressors, the microphone simulators are all locked into a little tiny digital piece of software. I don't need other bandmates. I don't have to worry about them token up in the control room and have to get high before they pull out their guitar and play. I love it. So let me know what you think of AI, if you love it or hate it, and how it's helped you. I hope it's helped you because I think it's great. All right, I'm PTPOP. Hasta la vista, baby.